Welcome back, True Seeker. I turned on the television this morning and I had to turn it off after about 2 minutes because I'd already seen enough. It was time to make another video. When I turned it on, ESPN was on and they were talking about the investigation of the death of the Maryland football player Jordan McNair, who collapsed May 29th and died June 13th due to complications from the collapse at practice. The investigation said that from the time of the cramping to the time he was taken to the hospital was about an hour and 39 minutes. About an hour and 39 minutes. And then they also said that there was about a 34-minute delay between when he first cramped and was taken off the field. And that's exactly what I saw on the TV. And I said, oh, really, 139 and 34. How often am I talking about that number pairing? Consider we're talking about Maryland. Here's what I just did a video on yesterday. This BS shooting in the news, SNOCHIA Moseley, the Scottish Rite ritual at the Rite Aid. Notice how they emphasized an eye for an eye. That's what SNOCHIA Moseley was into, this fictional name. Remember, Maryland and murders 34. An eye for an eye, 139. It was a workplace shooting. Workplace, 139. Freemasonry, 139. America, 139. Gun control, 139. Cody Wilson. That's another story in the news about gun control. But anyway, 139 is the 34th prime. These numbers are peas in a pod. They get paired together all the time. For example, in what I just covered yesterday, and probably what I covered the day before that and the day before that, and what I've covered pretty much every single day for the last 5 years straight. So here it is again. And this is a Maryland shooting with SNOCHIA Moseley, now the death of a Maryland football player. And like I've been explaining, this code of letters and numbers and numerical rituals, it's Masonic. And the thing about Freemasonry is they control our government, they control our police, they control our media, they control our education system. They pretty much control the whole nation. And from the beginning up to the present, they've done everything ritualistically by this code. So I started to think more about this. And I realized what this player, Jordan McNair, really died for. This man was murdered. When I say Jordan, what do you think of? You think of basketball, right? You think of Michael Jordan. Jordan. Now think about basketball in Maryland. Was there a story that I talked about earlier this year with 34 in Maryland in basketball? There sure was. This year on March 16th, the first time in the history of the men's college basketball tournament, in its 34th year of March Madness, which began in 85. 2018 was 33 years later, but don't forget to count 85. It was the 34th edition of March Madness, the 64 bracket tournament. Well, now that has been added a few more teams in recent years. But this year was the 136th time all time that a number 16 seed played a number 1 seed. And the thing about 136 is it's the 16th triangular number. And on March 16th, emphasis on 16, a 16 seed beat a 1 for the first time in the 136th attempt. A major 16 ritual. And the school that did it was from Maryland. Maryland 34, the 34th tournament with the option. Think about 136 and think about what day this football player, Jordan McNair, died. June 13th, 13/6, like 136. I'm going to show you just how much more deeply this ritual is encoded and how many layers are synced up into this ritual. Jordan McNair was murdered. It wasn't from heat exhaustion or because he was worked too hard at practice. It's because he was probably purposefully poisoned and killed, as many people have had happen to them over the years, especially people who are in the entertainment field. And college football players classify. College football is a major entertainment category in this Masonically controlled nation. And understand, everything about college sports, where there's Vegas gambling on it, it's all rigged and scripted. Just like professional sports. I've proven that over 1,000,000 times. See my work on what I've done for the last 3 college football championships, calling them right on the nose. So, Before we move on, I just also want to point out that an hour and 39 minutes is 99 minutes, and the story's coming during the time of the 99th NFL season, and college football and NFL football are always scripted together. So, again, we've covered the hour 39, the 34 minutes, the 139, the 34th prime. Here's the math right here. Use Gematria.com. It'll help you out with your prime number relationships. As redundant as they are, you'll have them memorized in no time. I want you to notice that Freemasonry with the alphabetic order is 139. Freemasonry with the alphabetic order and rules and numerology is 58. The name of the player killed, McNair, 58. And if you've never seen my work on the death of Steve McNair, the NFL football player who was murdered, please check that out. He was murdered by this same code, this very repetitive code. And if you have not read my book, Letters and Numbers, again, it's 773 pages long, $5. It's written for the person who's new to this knowledge. It's written for the person who's followed me since I've been teaching about it in 2013. Anyone can pick up this book and appreciate it and learn from it instantly. And the reason I priced it at $5 is so everyone can afford it. I don't want to be like a, university ripping off its students charging $500 for a textbook. And I'll tell you what, my book has a lot more knowledge in it than any textbook out there. The longest chapter in that book, by the way, is Murder by Numbers. The chapter's over 150 pages long. It's a book within a book. And pretty much every suspicious death you've ever heard about, including Steve McNair's, is in there. I'd put in this young man's, but the book released in March before he died. Actually released just before the college basketball tournament got underway. Keep in mind the college basketball team that won, they were University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC. Baltimore has that Gematria 58, like Freemasonry. Like Washington, like United States, like Secret Society, like a million other things that have to do with Freemasonry. The Scottish Rite headquarters in Washington, D.C., not far away. Look at this guy's name, Jordan McNair, the player who died. In the 2 reduction base ciphers, in case you're new here, we teach 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards, plus rules of numerology. You've had this knowledge since you were in 2nd grade. Anyway, Jordan McNair, a perfect overlap with Scottish Rite. The day he died, June 13th, 2018, date with 57 numerology. American football is credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. And look at the name Walter Camp. Here's in 2 of our 4 base ciphers, when the alphabetic order is turned around, alphabetic order in reverse with numerology, Walter Camp and Freemasonry, perfect overlap. What do you know? Camp also 33, like masonry, like secrecy, like order, like federal, like the 33 pillars, each 33 feet tall, on the outside of the House of the Temple, the Scottish Rite headquarters in Washington, D.C., not far away from this college campus. Notice Walter and football are both also 83. I should have mentioned that murder is 83. The song Murder by Numbers came out in 83. The song that, killing people is as simple as ABC, 1, 2, 3, like a sick take on the Jackson 5 song. By the way, Michael Jackson murdered by the numbers. His father, Joseph Jackson, just went out by the same code in close proximity to the anniversary of Michael Jackson's death. A lot of people have been killed by this code. Michael Jackson's death, absolutely in my book. By the way, the book's linked in the description of every video I make. It's the top link. You can probably see it without even opening up the description. Just for another note, Maryland Terrapins and Ritual Sacrifice. Perfect overlap. Jordan McNair, he played for the Maryland Terrapins. DJ Durkin getting a lot of criticism for this death. The name Durkin equals 40. He's 40 years old. His birthday, January 15th, 78. 78? You mean like Scottish, right? Like Jordan McNair? Anyway, from his birthday to the day that McNair collapsed, he collapsed May 29th. He died June 13th. We're going to look at both dates. From his birthday to the day of the collapse was 134 days. I see a 34 in there. Remember what 134 represents? It represents the word Vesica Piscis, the shape of the football. We've been talking about this. Look at what we just talked about earlier this year. We talked about how Josh Gordon got it activated 134 days after his 13/4 birthday. April 13th. And then the next day, there was a shooting at a Madden video game tournament at 1:34 in the afternoon. And then the day after that, Aaron Rodgers signed his record $134 million contract 13 weeks and 4 days before his 35th birthday. And we're going to get to 35. Notice that 35 is the reflection of 53. Vesica Piscis also equals 53. So does Josh Gordon. So does GLHF Game Bar, where the shooting was at 1:34 in the afternoon. DJ Durkin also 53. College and NFL always scripted together. This year in the NFL, it'll end with Super Bowl 53, hosted by the Falcons in their 53rd NFL season. That's why there's a 53-man roster in the NFL. It's why there's a 53-yard wide field, because it's all ritual. The Vesica Piscis is the most important shape in sacred geometry. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, means geometry and language. There's another song out there called Gematria, the killing name. Gematria and killing have the same gematria, matching, as Masonic, English, a few other important things. We'll get there. So I just want you to see how this lines up with DJ Durkin's birthday, the Vesica Piscis football ritual of football death. What else is a trip is from Durkin's birthday to the day he died, June 13th, is 149 days later. And consider the day he collapsed, May 29th, is the 149th day of the year. What's 149? That's the 35th prime number. 149, the 35th prime. In the Chaldean cipher, which is outside of our base ciphers, but an important one, football equals 35. In the septenary cipher, Super Bowl equals 35. The Packers once won the first Super Bowl with 35 points. QB, when you flip the alphabetic order around, is 35. Tom Brady's entire scripted NFL career is all defined by the number 35. Tom Brady equals 35. He has 35 birth numerology. Special number to the history of the NFL. This is why you get this football death synced up this way. He collapses on the 149th day of the year. He dies 149 days after the coach's birthday. So I wanted to look from the basketball game, that UMBC won, to the day of the collapse, where this all began. 74 days later. And lo and behold, UMBC, when they won with 74 points. With the alphabetic order, Masonic equals 74, English 74, Gematria 74, killing 74, number that we find around death all the time. In my chapter, Murder by Numbers, go over this number very thoroughly. And just for the record, look at the score, 74 to 54, 128 combined points. Maryland, when you flip the alphabetic order, around 128. Upset 54. Virginia went down with 54. Jesuit order equals 54. The Jesuits control the world of college sports. Every year, the men's basketball tournament's a major tribute to the Jesuits. Part of how I called North Carolina over Gonzaga perfectly before the tournament began and even the winning score. I said North Carolina will win. They'll beat Gonzaga, and the number 71 will be in the score. Lo and behold, North Carolina ended up winning with 71. Catholic equals 71, Gonzaga 71, Gonzaga Bulldogs 71. The tournament bracket was put out that year on the 71st day of the year. The ritual was too clear to see. But with regards to the 74-point win, all in the perfect script. And understand, in basketball, they use technology. Been showing this year after year. Go back 2 years ago when Villanova beat North Carolina. Look at North Carolina's point guard's Hail Mary three-pointer that should have never went in, that tied the game at 74-74 with 4.7 seconds left. Go back and look up that highlight. Villanova, North Carolina. Point guard dribbles down, jumps in the air, does like this clutch, and fires a line drive that rattles home hard. It's all technology. And before that game was played, I had a video up saying to look for the numbers 47 and 74 in that game because it had to do with the matchup and the date. These numbers always come up. They're so repetitive once you know to look for them. You'll realize these numbers aren't arbitrary, they're signatures. So anyway, now we get this college football death as part of the riddle. College football, also 74. No? One more time. It was the 136th game all time for a number 16 versus a number 1. It was the 34th year of a 16 versus a 1. Maryland 34, They did it the first 16 to be to 1 in the 136th opportunity. 136th, the 16th triangular number. They won on March 16th. You know, March 16th. Then the college football player dies on, or yeah, he does die on 13/6, like 136. For the record, the first year of March Madness was in 1985. Basketball equals 85. Look at the Maryland coach's name, Durkin, 85. By the way, he's 40 years old. I should mention that basketball also has Gematria 40. This is what the ritual is. This is why Jordan McNair is dead. People need to understand this stuff's not a coincidence. If you do think this is a coincidence, what you've learned about yourself is you're a moron. Period. Period. And a lot of you are morons. That's why you can't see through how rigged these games are. College sports look like crap. Pro sports look like crap. They all look like rigged crap. There's nothing that looks legitimate about them. If you're athletic, you should not be fooled by these sports games. They're a joke, you know? I used to sit in the bleachers at Arizona State and think, why are any of these guys on the field? You know? They don't know how to play defense. The coach doesn't know how to coach. Why would he be in that defensive formation? Why is this guy out here as our quarterback? We had this guy named Jeff Cron when I first got there. Oh, my God. He couldn't even throw the ball 15 yards, you guys. He got replaced by Andrew Walter, who went on to the NFL, and Andrew Walter was a legit talent. When I was at Arizona State, Terrell Suggs was there. He was a monster. He was the greatest football player I ever saw with my own eyes. I mean, there are legit talents on the field, but there's a lot of people in college and pro that just have no business being there. I mean, the quarterback at Arizona State, I couldn't explain to you how embarrassing it was to watch him. I was just thinking, should I just walk out of the bleachers and go start for this team right now? Because I can throw a football. This guy can't even get the ball 15 yards. Throws wounded ducks past the 10-yard line. Oh, my God. The whole thing, it's a big rig system. A lot of these players, born and bred to be, born into Masonic families. Jordan McNair probably was too, you know. A lot of ritual sacrifice, a lot of cannibalism within this Masonic network. I'll leave it here before I start ranting about other things. Stop supporting these leagues. They're sick, they're disgusting, they're rigged, they're corrupt, they're connected to murder. Week after week, month after month, year after year, it's undeniable. Till next time.